Parker, and at 32, I've constructed an existence I value. I'm an information specialist in Orlando, Florida, advancing the hierarchy at an elite technology firm, making more than I ever imagined. It's a distant reality from my youth, when my universe collapsed at age 9. My mother departed from my father and me following their separation, abandoning us to manage with little. I labored intensely, struggled for each opening, and believed I'd moved past that anguish. But then, one fall night, all shifted. A rap at my condo entrance brought my history returning violently. My mom had perhaps discovered my salary, and she arrived with my indulged stepbrother insisting I relinquish a large sum. Their remarks struck like a blow, audacious, unashamed, and oozing with privilege. It wasn't solely regarding cash. It was a disloyalty that wounded profoundly. To what extent would they push to obtain their desires, and what confidential matters were they concealing I was soon to learn, and it would challenge all I believed about relatives. If you've ever encountered a relative's treachery, leave a remark underneath and tell your tale. It matters greatly to listen to you. Remember to press that subscribe key for additional genuine life turmoil. I never imagined my mom would locate me due to the cash I earn. Maturing in Ohio, my existence shifted permanently at 9 years old. My mom, Helen Silver, departed from my father, Robert Parker, and me after their relationship dissolved. She'd become remote, constantly preoccupied, until one night she seized a bag and departed silently. Father later informed me she'd become enamored with a different guy, a person who assured her a superior tomorrow. The separation was swift, leaving us with a modest home and a heap of debts. Mom didn't simply depart. She disappeared, beginning a fresh existence elsewhere in the state. Seasons later, I discovered she had my stepbrother Leo Mills with her new spouse. She never phoned, never came by, only mailed an annual birthday note containing a handful of chilly phrases that hurt more than they soothed. Father devoted all into sustaining us. He operated a little eatery, a humble place serving morning meals and sandwiches, laboring from sunrise to dusk. He'd cook flapjacks, clean surfaces, and check out patrons, his palms calloused from infinite hours. The restaurant scarcely profited. Some days he took home under $50 after costs. Lease was constantly overdue and the icebox was frequently bare. Father concealed his concern, but I noticed it in his drooping posture, the manner he'd grown over unsettled invoices. He'd return drained, yet still created moments to inquire about my day. His sound tender, notwithstanding the pressure. At 13, I couldn't tolerate observing him strive solo. I began child-minding for nearby residents, staying up late to supervise their children while doing schoolwork by torchlight. Shortly, I assumed more tasks, filling racks at a local shop, cleansing residences after classes, even distributing newsprints before sunrise. Each cent I made went to Father for food or the power invoice. He'd disagree, stating I ought to be a child, not an earner, but I persisted. It was my method of resisting the emptiness Mom created. I'd conceal my own fatigue acting. It was okay when my palms sore from washing floors, or my legs tired from cycling distances with papers. Education was my salvation. I'd remain after hours for arithmetic group studying formulas to mute the pain. Father would join me at our old kitchen counter, assisting with assignments when he wasn't nearly asleep. He'd state I could achieve anything, that I was tougher than our situation. His statements propelled me forward even when I questioned myself. But Mom's missing presence was a persistent soreness. I'd gaze at her former pictures, pondering why I wasn't sufficient for her to remain. Those inquiries etched a gap inside me which I submerged beneath labor and learning. By secondary school, I'd understood to rely on myself. I hoarded each cent, studied more intensely, and pledged never to require anybody like I'd required her. Father was my foundation, but I understood he couldn't support us indefinitely. I had to create my own route, and I did one arduous phase at a time. Still, the load of those initial seasons never completely departed me. I understood to rely on myself prematurely, but the history still troubled me. By secondary school, I knew my exit was via learning. I immersed myself in schoolwork, staying up late to learn advanced math and top each test. My advisor noticed my determination and directed me to grants. At 17, I secured a complete scholarship to a public college for information science, an area that matched my fondness for structures and solutions. That grant was my liberation, an opportunity to recreate my destiny. But even with fees paid, I was independent for all else: textbooks, rent, food. There was no safety net, just me and my resolve. To persist, I held numerous positions. I served food at a university cafe, avoiding tipped drinks while learning programming excerpts. Saturdays, I was a clerical helper at a little legal office, arranging documents and replying to calls. Late evenings, I sanitized workplaces, cleaning desks until my shoulders ached. My routine was demanding: awake at 5 a.m., asleep after 12, always figuring how many hours I required for the coming month's expenses. Each cent went to necessities, with a fragment saved for crises. I endured tiredness, motivated by a vow to myself I wouldn't allow my history to shape me. University was a struggle, but it molded me. I took additional classes, participated in data science groups, and secured a seasonal placement at a technology new company. The task was demanding, processing figures for hours, but it refined my abilities. By completion, I held a diploma, a pile of accolades, and a position proposal from a technology corporation in Orlando, Florida. Relocating there seemed like entering a different universe. Orlando's energy, its technology environment, provided me a new beginning. I began as an associate specialist, devoting all into my tasks. Within 5 seasons, I'd advanced to a lead position, managing ventures and making an income that seemed unbelievable, contrasted with my youth. With my achievement, I never forgot Father. He'd given up all, operating that cafe day and night to sustain us. Once my earnings became steady, I began mailing him $500 every month. It wasn't a lot initially, but it aided him settle loans from the diner and mend its dripping ceiling. Later, I paid for his vehicle maintenance and even dispatched additional for a new cooler when his failed. He'd object, stating he didn't desire my cash, but I persisted. It was my method of appreciating him, of lessening the load he'd borne solo for so long. Each instance we spoke, his sound would break with pride, informing me I was his biggest accomplishment. Those instants signified more than any career advancement. Mom, however, was a separate narrative. Her yearly birthday note still arrived, every one, a frosty signal of her missing presence. "Happy birthday. Wish you're fine." She'd write her phrases, biting and empty. No telephone calls, no trips, just those notes accumulating in a cabinet. They agitated old anguish queries I'd attempted to bury. Why did she abandon me? Why didn't she worry? I'd suppress the ideas, concentrating on my job and Father's silent backing, but the pain remained. My existence in Orlando was one I created from zero. I purchased a contemporary condo in the city center, stocked it with objects that seemed like belonging. My coworkers esteemed me, and I discovered companions who became my selected relatives. I believed I'd shut the entrance on my history, that I'd demonstrated I didn't need Mom. But some injuries don't mend, regardless how high you rise. I believed I'd moved past the history until one fall night. One fall evening, a harsh knock on my condo entrance startled me from my schedule. I unlocked it to discover my mom waiting there, her grin broad yet strange, with my stepbrother Leo leaning nearby. It had been beyond 20 years since I'd viewed her face, and the vision struck me like a surge, portion surprise, portion soreness. She moved ahead, arms wide, like we'd never been separated, her sound oozing with tenderness that seemed practiced. "Chloe, my dear daughter, it's been an eternity," she stated, drawing me into an embrace I didn't reciprocate. Leo scarcely glanced up, his gaze fixed on his device, mumbling a weak salutation. We settled in my lounge, the area I'd crafted for myself, yet their being made it seem alien. Mom's gaze scanned around, resting on the smooth decor, the sight of Orlando's cityscape through my panes. She commenced with light conversation, how she'd longed for me, how pleased she was, yet her phrases seemed hollow, like dialogue from a play. Then she reached the crux. I listened. You're achieving greatly. She stated, her manner altering a major position. Excellent funds, she inclined nearer, her smile tensing. Leo's beginning university shortly, his fees $60,000, and we require your assistance. Just a minor aid, perhaps $3,000 monthly to sustain us. I stiffened, her phrases registering $60,000, $3,000 monthly. The figures were astounding, yet it was her offhand privilege that hurt deepest. Leo finally glanced up, grinning, cool home, yet it's somewhat tiny for somebody earning like you. He stated, his tone oozing with scorn. He lounged over my sofa, placing his shoes on the side table like he possessed it. You could improve, he added, browsing his device again, his conceit, her planned tenderness, it was excessive. My gut twisted with a blend of fury and skepticism. This wasn't a gathering, it was a negotiation. I attempted to comprehend their appeal. Mom continued, sketching an image of hardship, stating she and Leo were scarcely managing. Her sound was gentle, nearly begging, yet her gaze were piercing, observing my each response. She noted my job again, suggesting clues regarding my income as if she'd completed her investigation. You've obtained so much now, Chloe, she stated. Relatives support relatives, correct? The term relatives struck like a hit. Where was she when father and I were surviving, when I was laboring evenings to pay for food? A part of me wished to trust her, to view this as an opportunity to fix matters. I'd invested years considering what it would be to have her return, to listen to her clarify why she departed. Perhaps this was it, an opportunity to reconstruct. Yet suspicion ate at me. Her abrupt arrival, her concentration on my earnings, it seemed too opportunistic. Leo's demeanor didn't assist. He disrupted her sad tale to whine about his substandard housing, stating he merited a superior vehicle to belong at college. His privilege was a reflection of hers, and it made my flesh crawl. I maintained my sound calm, inquiring how they located me. Mom dismissed it, stating she'd listened to information via former acquaintances. Her ambiguity triggered warnings in my head. I informed them I'd require moments to ponder, that $60,000 wasn't an object I could simply surrender. Mom's grin weakened, and Leo sneered, mumbling something regarding me being cheap. They exited shortly, after Mom vowing to call her embrace staying a bit too long. I shut the entrance. My heart racing, divided between rage and a spark of optimism. I loathed myself for sensing. The following day, I received a message from my mom. I consented to meet Mom and Leo at a crowded Orlando coffee shop, wishing for understanding following their trip to my condo. The spot was filled, the buzz of discussions mixing with the clatter of espresso mugs. I saw them at a side table, Mom with her perfected smile. Leo lounged with his device in palm. My gut tightened as I settled their presence, dragging me back to a history I'd battled to escape. I desired responses, perhaps even a genuine link, yet their gaze informed me this wasn't regarding relatives. Mom commenced with a gentle manner, her phrases dripping with artificial tenderness. Chloe, I've missed you greatly, she stated, extending for my palm. I withdrew, keeping my shield raised. She began a tale regarding why she'd been absent all those seasons, her sound quivering sufficiently to appear genuine. Your dad rendered it unfeasible for me to communicate. She alleged, her gaze wide with pretended grief. He excluded me. Prevented you from me. I attempted, Chloe, I truly did. Her falsehood struck powerfully, distorting the reality I understood too well. Father had pleaded her to call to visit, yet she'd selected her new existence over us. The disloyalty stung more acutely now than when I was a child. I remained quiet, allowing her to speak. She depicted herself as a casualty, stating she'd been striving ever since the separation, barely managing. Leo's destiny is in jeopardy. She stated, her manner changing to immediacy. We require your assistance to get him through university. Before I could answer, Leo added, his sound arrogant. Yeah, I require an automobile to travel around campus. He stated, not even glancing up. Something good like a Mustang. And a fresh device. This one's garbage. His requests were ridiculous. A $30,000 vehicle and a $1,000 device. As if I owed him a way of life I'd never possessed. I gripped my espresso mug, fury building. You're requesting an automobile and a device above the $60,000, I stated, my sound firm yet sharp. Leo rotated his gaze. You're wealthy, Chloe. What's the issue? He retorted, throwing his device on the table. Mom intervened, her manner begging now. We're relatives, Chloe. You've obtained so much, now can't you give a little? Her phrases mirrored her condo trip, yet now they seemed more despairing, more deliberate. I saw through her performance the manner she depended on relatives to shame me into giving. I inhaled deeply, my thoughts sprinting. I labored for all I possess, I stated, my sound strong. Father and I possess nothing after you exited. I'm not a financial institution. Mom's face stiffened, her facade slipping. You're so self-centered, she snapped. I provided you existence, and this is how you reimburse me. Her charge cut, profoundly agitating old injuries, yet I wouldn't allow her control me. Leo sneered, mumbling. Predictable you'd be like this. Dad was correct about you. His phrases were a poke, suggesting Mom's spouse had filled his mind with untruths regarding me. The disagreement intensified rapidly. Mom elevated her sound, faulting me for her missing presence. If you'd contacted, matters could have been altered, she stated, her gaze blazing with anger. I retaliated. You exited when I was 9. You mailed notes, not calls. Don't place this on me. My heart raced, seasons of pain pouring out. Leo joined in, shouting that I was too superior for them, that I owed them for all they'd endured. The coffee shop grew quiet, gazes rotating toward us, yet I didn't worry. I stood up, my seat scraping the ground. I'm finished here. I stated, my sound trembling with wrath. I don't owe you anything. Mom seized my arm, her hold firm. You'll lament this, Chloe. She whispered, her face contorted with annoyance. I yanked away, departing without glancing back, their sounds diminishing behind me. My chest hurt with a mixture of anger and sorrow. I'd wished to trust Mom might have altered, yet she was the identical, exploiting me exactly like she'd exploited Father. Leo's privilege only worsened it. I went house, yet they weren't finished yet. That day my condo buzzer sounded, pulling me from a fitful try to work. I opened the entrance to find Mom and Leo waiting there again, unasked. Mom's smile was more strained than before, her gaze shifting anxiously. Leo rested against the partition, scrolling his device. His look bored, yet anticipatory. My pulse accelerated after my outburst at the coffee shop. I hadn't anticipated them back so soon. We merely wished to converse. Mom stated, her sound excessively sugary, yet I sensed a coldness. I allowed them in, opposing my wiser thinking, wishing to prevent another spectacle. They sat on my sofa, Mom grasping her bag, Leo stretched out like he owned the space. I remained close to the kitchen counter, arms folded, observing them carefully. Mom commenced with light conversation, inquiring regarding my job, yet her queries were too targeted. How? Page 7. Much I made how I handled my cash. Then she switched her tone, acute. You're achieving so well, Chloe, she stated. Why can't you assist us? Leo merits an opportunity. Leo agreed, mumbling. Yeah, it's not like you're poor. Their persistence seemed like a snare, and I kept my responses ambiguous, my discomfort increasing. I stepped away to get water, leaving them briefly. When I returned, Leo was at my workstation, my portable computer display bright. My heart dropped. He was tapping through my navigator, my financial application accessible. What are you doing? I snapped, hurrying over. Leo shrugged, unconcerned. Merely inspecting, he stated, smirking. Mom joined in her sound protective. We were merely inquisitive, Chloe. You've obtained so much, why conceal it? Her phrases verified my largest worries: they were pursuing my finances. I snatched the portable computer away, my palms quivering. You don't contact my belongings. I stated, my sound quiet yet strong. I inspected the display. My monetary interface had been accessed. Access tries recorded. My mind sprinted to father. Mom had noted hearing information regarding my income, and now this. I opened my inbox, heart pounding, and saw a relayed communication from father's profile specifying my job and income dispatched to mom's address. She'd breached his electronic mail, exploited his faith to probe into my life. The disloyalty struck like a hit. Not just to me, yet to father, who'd never betrayed her confidence. You breached Dad's electronic mail, I demanded, rotating to Mom. Her face whitened, yet she didn't refute it. Instead, she attacked. Your dad's a disappointment, Chloe. She spat. Operating that pitiful cafe, pulling you down with him. I had to learn how you resulted so fine. Her phrases were poison, attacking the man who'd raised me solo. Leo chuckled, adding, Yeah, he's a failure. You're finer than that. Their brutality ignited something inside me. I moved toward them, my sound steady despite my fury. Leave or I'm contacting the authorities, I stated, raising my device. Mom's gaze expanded, her poise breaking. You'd call the police on your own, Mom, she whispered, standing up. Leo sneered, tossing his device on the sofa. Relax, it's not that major, he stated, yet his sound faltered. I didn't retreat. You intruded into Dad's electronic mail and attempted to reach my finances. That's major enough, I stated. Entering 911, yet not pressing call yet. Mom seized Leo's arm, tugging him toward the exit. You're committing an error, Chloe, she cautioned, her sound icy. We're not finished. They rushed out, leaving the atmosphere dense with strain. I secured the entrance, my palms still shaking, and settled at my portable computer. The records verified it. Numerous unsuccessful access tries. A navigator window opened to my bank's code recovery screen. My instruction in data analytics rendered me thorough. I understood they'd been searching for monetary information. Mom's breach of Dad's electronic mail wasn't just an intrusion. It was evidence she'd never worried about us, only what she could take. The burden of her deeds settled over me, a blend of rage and disloyalty. I required to learn how far she'd gone. I phoned my father to verify the reality. Right after their trip, I called father's digits, my palms still trembling from Mom's invasion. When he replied, his sound was tender yet weary, and I detested increasing his loads. I informed him regarding Mom breaching his electronic mail, her untruths regarding him preventing her away, and their endeavor to reach my finances. She's been deceiving regarding you, Dad, I stated, my sound tight with fury. He exhaled, not startled. That's Helen, he stated softly. She always distorted matters to fit her. He verified his electronic mail had been breached. Somebody had altered his code weeks before. It devastated me to listen how she'd violated his faith again. Yet it strengthened my determination to safeguard us both. I contacted my attorney, Paul Gallagher, the next day. Paul was astute, orderly, and didn't soften his language. This is Major Chloe, he stated. Examining my proof pictures of access tries the relayed message from father's profile. We submitted for a protective order at the Orlando court referencing Mom's unapproved access and Leo's involvement. The procedure was draining with documents and proceedings, yet Paul led me through. Within days, the court issued a lasting protective order against Mom and Leo, prohibiting them from reaching me or approaching my residence. The judicial decision seemed like a load raised, a lawful barrier against their plots. Days later, I got a notice from my bank. Somebody had attempted to move $10,000 from my reserves, activating a dual verification stop. I understood it was Mom still probing despite the order. My finances were secured firmly thanks to the protections I'd implemented as an information specialist. Her defeat provided me a bleak contentment, yet it also left me empty. She wasn't solely pursuing cash, she wished to dismantle all I'd constructed. I documented the try to Paul, who submitted a subsequent with the court guaranteeing Mom encountered repercussions if she attempted again. A season later, my existence had shifted. News of Mom's deeds circulated through her network. Aunt Diane Silver, Mom's elder sister, contacted me, her sound weighted with remorse. "Helen's been like this since we were children," Aunt Diane stated, sharing tales of Mom's deceptions, how she'd deceived relatives, borrowed cash she never returned. Diane's candor aided me view. Mom's disloyalty wasn't individual. It was who she was. Meanwhile, Mom and Leo ruined relationships. Companions and family members, weary of their falsehoods, severed them. They relocated to a tinier municipality, their social group diminishing to nothing, a suitable outcome for their avarice. I began consulting Dr. Sarah Reed, a counselor suggested by a coworker. Dr. Reed was tolerant, aiding me process the distress of Mom's desertion and recent deeds. "You've borne her decisions too long," she stated in one meeting, her sound serene yet strong. Through seasons of labor, I understood to release the shame I'd sensed for not being sufficient for Mom. I recognized her missing presence was her shortcoming, not mine. Those meetings provided me clearness, a method to recover, without allowing her to characterize me. Motivated by my own path, I established a little philanthropy in Orlando, directing a portion of my earnings to assist children from striving households. The reserve provided grants and guidance objects I'd desired maturing. Starting it seemed like repaying to the child I'd been surviving in Ohio. My companion Maya, a social worker, aided me arrange it, her zeal contagious. Lisa, a coworker specialist, created the online portal, and Tom, my nearby resident, promoted the information via his neighborhood contacts. Their backing recalled me. I wasn't solo. Through it all, Father was my foundation. I frequently welcomed him to my condo, viewing him brighten at the existence I'd constructed. My companions, Maya, Lisa, Tom, became my selected relatives, individuals who appeared without anticipating anything in exchange. They celebrated my victories, listened when I stumbled, and recalled me what affection appeared like. One night, over a meal with them, I realized something: I had father, and that was sufficient. Relatives aren't lineage. It's the individuals who select you, who esteem you, who remain. To everybody listening to my tale, gratitude for staying with me. I wish it demonstrates you that relatives are what you create it, not what you're born into. Select individuals who raise you, who perceive your value. I'd adore to listen to your ideas. What does count relatives signify to you? Please share underneath and subscribe to this channel for additional tales like mine.